superstar photographer, Tony, Big Bad Llama,
Yeah.
Webster. Anthony or Tony?
Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Not like Anthony.
I don't mind Anthony. Like I never even knew I was called Anthony until I was about 8 or 9, and my parents explained to me that that's what Tony was.
Okay,
short
so yeah, it's
for.
always been Tony.
It's always been Tony.
That's
yeah.
okay. So where did Big Bad Llama come from?
God, Big Bad Llama is kind of a long story, but the short version is I was in America when I was like 11, 12 on a cross community kind of project, and it was my first time going to the circus, and it was my first time seeing llamas. So afterwards we got to go like backstage and like do a little petting zoo with the animals. So I went into the llama pen because I was really fascinated by them, and then as I went in, they all came out and proper like trampled through me, started running wild. And I just remember someone saying to me that those were some big bad llamas, and that was just always something
It
that
just
like stuck in my head. Yeah, I was just gonna go with Bad Llama, but it was taken by some Canadian record label.
Okay.
So then I just thought,
Go with the whole
twist it a
hog.
wee bit and see. So
Yeah.
that's the short
That's
version.
what worked for you. Love it. So yeah, we were saying there just before we went live about you went to Queen's for about 3 months.
Yes, I went to Queen's. Well, technically they think I went for a year, but I went for a few months and then just kind of stopped going.
It was photography you were doing. Yeah?
No, I was doing actually English with drama.
Okay.
My whole kind of life was very education based, and I was kind of the one that my parents had pinned their hope on going to university. And I was smart and I got good grades and everything, so that was the plan. And then just whenever I went to it, it really didn't feel like it was for me. Yeah, it was. I had originally intended to do law. I had always wanted to be a lawyer growing up, and then I had a change of heart super last minute. I applied to do English with drama because I had done them for my A levels, and then it just didn't. It just didn't kind of challenge me in the way
Yeah.
that I thought it would. So I ended up dropping out and moving to America.
And was there there wasn't an end game? You said I'm going to go to university and then become a.
No, I did. I didn't really have a plan, and I've always kind of been the type of person to encourage people to not plan, which a lot of people don't
Yeah.
like. But I just feel like if you don't really try to experience things, then you don't really learn much, or
Yeah.
the type of learning that at least I wanted to do. So I actually ended up deciding to go away to America to be like a humanitarian aid worker because I wanted to experience things for myself and draw my own conclusion about my future and not what my teachers and my parents
Yeah.
had told me my whole life.
That's a very big thing that what we discovered is from whenever you have the plan, you know, and that's everything's working towards the plan.
Yeah.
You're so blinkered to all the influences that are coming in as you're on this singular path. No, can't do that. I
Yeah.
have to follow the plan, have to follow the path, and you know all these amazing opportunities that could lead to God knows what.
Yeah.
That you're passing up on. Like you going to America, if that had been, that would never have
Yeah, it had
obviously-
never crossed my mind ever from being 12 going into, first year to even going to Queen's that there could have been something else
Yeah.
for me to do. It just felt like you do get kind of suckered into that like social mentality of like go to university and
The conveyor belt.
Yeah, and stick to the plan. It's
Yeah.
like, so it was exciting to kind of throw that out the window.
Yeah,
a wee
do
bit.
something out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or was that like a big step, like of going to do that, or were you ready for that kind of change?
No, it was definitely like a huge kind of step. I didn't, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I just wanted to go away and experience something.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know really what I was getting into when I went away. I'd applied to do this kind of like summer camp staff thing where we kind of did humanitarian aid training with other people from across America. We taught them and then they would go do it. But that's not what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be like one of the ones that like went and did everything.
Stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was definitely different, but it was brilliant. That whole summer what really set me up for being on the path to just taking risks and doing things and kind of following your heart.
Yeah. That's a great. You know that. How long were you in America for?
I ended up being there on and off for like 7 years.
But how? Well, okay. The initial.
The
like,
initial
trip?
that trip was meant to be 7 weeks and turned into 9 months.
Nice. So you just decided to stay then and
Yeah.
continue on.
Yep.
Sweet. So that's obviously something that you would like recommend to anybody.
Yeah,
to go
I
and
mean,
do.
I think too, doing things like humanitarian aid work and things that are quite selfless are very good at teaching you how to be a bit more selfish.
Yes.
Because I think you need to go do some things for other people to help you figure out what you would need to do for yourself. and that's what I thought. The more and more I spent time kind of doing all this stuff for other people, the more and more something inside me realized was starting to put together what I needed to do. So I thought it was a great kind of almost like deconditioning of like the way I'd grown
Yeah.
up and being taught what to do. And people always used to say to me like, I can't believe you went to America and like you haven't come back, or you've done this and you've done that. But it wasn't really that big of a deal to me because I just did it.
Yeah,
So
it was week to week, whatever.
yeah,
You're just
and
gonna
I
do
would
this.
so I would always just tell people like, if you're thinking about doing something, just do it, because the worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't work and you have to go home.
Yeah, yes, yeah, something like that. A lot of people have said, like Camp America or anything like that just takes you out of your comfort zone, and like you say, you're doing stuff for other people.
Yeah.
It just life changing is one of them things that's kind of bandied around, and people say, oh, that changed my life. Oh, did it really? But obviously something like
Yeah.
that really does. Your whole outlook
I
is
think the whole idea even of like gap year has become so popular now too,
good on gap, yeah.
that it's not really actually about going to do stuff for other people, and it is very like, I want to go and experience this summer all for me.
Yeah.
So it can be quite hard to find real genuine like experiences. So that's why like I've had friends who've went and done things and asked advice, and I've always said, go do something that you're really, really interested in, because then you'll be completely committed to doing it, whether it's not everything that you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It'll give you a wee bit more ability to stick through it, because I know tons of people who went away to do these kind of like trips or mission trips, or whether they were like not religion based at all, and they just couldn't hack it because it wasn't the experience they thought they
Yes,
were
they
going to have.
expected it. Yeah. Yeah, that would be the worst thing if you expect this life changing time
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it
totally
doesn't
not
happen, I know.
that. You come home on an absolute downer. But like if you're saying about like the religion based stuff, a few friends of mine went. I think there was a team of them were going to do Habitat for Humanity, and they ended up fundraising with the rugby team, and then some of the rugby team kind of got roped in, and I don't know whether they really wanted to do it or not, but they did it.
Yeah.
And they come back and they were just like, completely new outlook on life.
Yeah.
You see, like they got, I think it was, a week, whatever, building a school or whatever it was, and then they got a week to tour around, Cambodia and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said it was, both, completely different, but unbelievable experience,
Yeah,
and something that
definitely.
will be with them forever.
Yeah.
And most of them are just your typical rugby player,
Yeah.
waster lads, but really character building, like
Yeah.
for them. But so, what about the photography then? When did that kick in?
Photography kind of kicked in while I was away traveling and doing the humanitarian aid work, because I kind of wanted to be able to upload pictures to Bebo, it was at the time. And I wanted like my friends to be able to see what I was doing. And it was also the same time that MySpace kind of took over, and everything was very much about photographs. And I didn't have a camera or anything, but a friend of mine in America bought like a point and shoot for me, a little kind of cheapie, and I just started taking photos of things, and they definitely didn't all start out really good, but that was like the basis of where my love for photography came from. I loved taking photos, and I've always loved people, and that was why I went away to do that work too. So I just kind of combined the two together and started taking photos of people.
Yeah.
And people used to say to me like, oh, you've got a good wee eye for shots.
Yeah, without
and
training, it was
Yeah.
just there.
just kind of taught myself like, well, on the point and shoot camera was relatively easy because you could
wasn't
only
any setting up,
yeah,
yeah.
that was it. So when I eventually got around to getting a proper kind of DSLR camera, it was a lot of just googling things that like I wanted to do, and even just reading up on Wikipedia what all the things meant or how I was meant to work it. So it was
Yeah.
all just like, it didn't come really natural, but I had to kind of teach myself how to do it.
Yeah. And do you think that was better way than say going to like a class or something to learn how to do it?
No, well, because I don't want to sound like I'm coming off like I'm against education, because I'm actually so like pro education. I think if there's classes available to go to, you should definitely go to them. But I
Yeah.
was kind of traveling around the world, and I couldn't go somewhere or commit
Yeah.
to doing like a degree or something. And for me, I just know the way I learn is very experiential. So it was I just needed to get out there and do it and
Yeah.
play with it. And I'm good with taking in information, so it just kind of read on Wikipedia, just all the kind of terms, and it really just was kind of practice makes perfect. The more I did it, the more it was easier to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say to anyone who has got an interest in photography, like go do a photography degree or a course or something, because then once you are, a fully qualified photographer, it'll be easier probably for you to still find certain elements of work, because not everyone's going to step in to a career really easily.
Yeah, like freelancing, just
Yeah, and
yeah,
like I know I've been really lucky. Like I've worked really hard, but I've also been really lucky that some of my work is a little bit more controversial. So that's what gets my work noticed, and that's what gets me more work. But if you're wanting to do like landscapes or even just like regular portraits, that just mightn't be enough to set you apart from all the other portrait or landscape photographers. So
Yeah.
I would just always look for the thing that makes your work unique and make that your selling point.
yeah. That's sound enough advice. With like, if you go onto your Tumblr, it's like, I'm not even gonna say thinly veiled. It's mostly just porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that
yes.
something that you sort of is that did you just stumble across that, or was that a thing that was a conscious decision?
it was kind of a conscious decision, but the whole thing was also a learning process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My comfort levels of things that I've shot have changed and went back and forward since I started doing it. And the reason I did it too was purposely to strike the conversation up about art versus porn.
Yeah.
Because I think it really like lies in the intentions of who's looking at it.
Yes, it's
You know,
subjective.
Yeah,
Completely.
yeah. But I do know that obviously if you put, something quite risque or, bulges and all that kind of stuff, of course it lends itself more to like, people having
Yes.
sexual thoughts. But because I worked so much doing fashion stuff and was shooting women all the time, I thought it would be a nice kind of cheeky thing to kind of subjectify or objectify men because it's normally women.
Doesn't really
So I
happen.
just thought it would be a kind of funny thing to do, and my boyfriend Martin at the time like showed me all these Tumblrs that he had liked, and this was before I even knew people was on Tumblr all
This
the
was a
time,
thing,
just looking
yeah.
at porn, yeah. So I was like, oh, you can totally get away with this online, and I'd always thought I'd love to do stuff that was a bit more risque because I always really liked Terry Richardson's work,
Yeah.
and that's very much who, I would be inspired by doing that. But then the more I did it, and the more I kind of put the feelers out for models, and it always is always based around the models kind of
Yeah, their comfort
zone.
level.
Yeah, but it's all. It's called Filthy Bad Llama for
Yes,
a
a reason.
It's quite filthy. So
Yeah, well, like the objectifying men thing, that's like, was that your calling card for whenever you're looking for work? You said that gets you noticed, that gets the conversation started.
well, it might be a kind of mixture of both because I do work full time doing my fashion photography,
Yeah.
and then my Filthy Bad Llama stuff is all on the side. So in some ways they are very separate, but
Yeah.
sometimes they do kind of
Crossover.
crossover. Yeah. So yeah, it almost is like having two different careers sometimes because it's two completely different audiences I
Yeah.
cater to, and my Tumblr audience are just a really engaged group of people that comment and share and like, and that my statistics on my Tumblr page are so much higher than like my Facebook page for my fashion
For
work.
your actual work, yeah.
So like I would love to find a real way to properly monetize that.
Yeah.
And make that like my income, but I love having it as like a creative side project, but it's challenging because there's only so many shirtless guys you can photo in so many different ways. So
Especially in Belfast.
yeah, it pushes me a bit more creatively because I have to think of new things to do, and I love trying to make it a bit more body positive. I'm so body positive, even though it's quite ironic because I'm like a bigger guy and I have all these body issues myself. So I've even like put pictures of myself and stuff on there just to show people I want more normal guys, but it's harder normal guys to speak up and want to do it. But guys with six packs come forward like no problem. All the time.
Yeah. Take a picture of me, please. Yeah. How did Martin react whenever were you going into the kind of riskier side of things?
Martin was the one who kind of introduced me to it, and he had been very active like on Tumblr and posting things, not necessarily like raunchy things about himself, but he showed me kind of all this other work. So it was him that introduced me to it, and my first photo shoot ever doing that was of Martin.
Yeah.
And that was the night we met as well. So
Because you can imagine a guy being like, "Yeah, right, love, I'm gonna go and be a Richardson,
Yeah.
photographer here, and you know.
No, Martin is like super supportive, and we've got like we're very transparent with each other, like in our relationship, and like a lot of people can't grasp the fact that if I take these photos, that there's nothing like sexual that goes on.
Yeah.
People just can't
Get
believe
their head
that.
around that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could ask, you know, any one of the models I've shot, and like it's totally not a sexy experience. Because it's very all about like the direction and trying to make them, you know,
Yeah.
sit a certain way or the light hit them a certain way. And
Jumping
it's,
off chairs with the bandana around your
yeah,
head.
that's it. You know, it's totally not this kind of like sexy. Okay, now strip off, because it literally is like, well, no, pull your zip down slower. No, a bit more to the left. There's no real sexiness in
Yeah.
it. So it's funny. Just people, you know, people do kind of wonder like, oh well, how does Martin feel about you doing that? I was like, well, Martin is the one who introduced me
Yeah.
to doing it, and I do take breaks from it sometimes because people do. I have heard, you know, bad rumors and stuff about myself, but I mean, I just keep myself right, and you know, Martin keeps me right, and we just kind of do what we do. I've got such an engaged audience that I wanted to take a step away from it, but then I just got like really hassled to come back and do it. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm doing it for like the love of like the people on Tumblr that love it, but you know, I wouldn't, I don't want to let all the people that are haters, I hate that term, but I don't want to like let the haters win. Basically, you know, I want to continue to make kind of provocative work that, you know, that people like and engage with.
Yeah. Whenever you're starting out with that, I don't know, like starting out with the photography side of it, was Tumblr the thing? Oh, like MySpace and Bebo, you said was where you started off. Was the like stupidly massive numbers on Tumblr was obviously a big help for you to be like, wow,
Yeah.
this has got a real. I'm really engaging with these people.
Yeah, definitely. Tumblr is a great platform because it's not censored, so that is why it exists for a lot of kind of erotic and homoerotic kind of work. MySpace at the time was mainly just based around friends and, you know, kind of commenting on your wall. But I found like, you know, Facebook and having a like page and everything, you get like a steady kind of audience growth, which I think is great because it does take time to build up your audience, and that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be one of these people with, you know, loads and loads of likes, but an audience that like didn't actually
Didn't
do anything with
engage,
my
yes.
posts, you know. So it is a wee bit of, it's hard to tell which platform now is good because obviously Facebook make it that you need to really, you know, want to see someone's posts in order to see them, you know. So
Yeah.
you've got to go actively out of your way, and it's hard for me to reach out to 5,000 people and say, can you all go click on this thing on the
Follow
front of the
me,
page?
yeah.
You know, people don't have the time really
Yeah.
to do that, so it's getting harder now to get like an active engaging audience, but I think that's also because Facebook is changing and they're trying to obviously make money from targeted posts and advertising. So
Yeah. Zuckerberg can't just go around buying everything in sight and
Well,
expect
that-
Facebook
well,
to be
that's-
free forever.
that's it. You know, that Instagram is kind of what I really enjoy doing because I've got a good kind of audience on there, and they're not really an audience that are on my Facebook. So it's good. Each kind of platform I have caters to different people.
Yeah, there's a separate demographic there that is using those. For photography, would you say Tumblr is the one to concentrate on, or
To get your work noticed, or
Yeah.
for the best in order to showcase your
well,
work?
both?
Both. Tumblr can be hard because there is so many things, so that's why it's
To
so
differentiate
easy.
yourself, it's
yeah,
tough,
it's so
yeah.
easy to get lost there, and you've got to really think about your hashtags and, you know, look at what the kind of top 5 hashtags are for the work that you're doing. Facebook was good to a point where now they just like compress your work and it looks like crap whenever you upload it. So I think sites that are specifically for photos, even like Flickr, you know, have a great resolution when you're looking at pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all these things. If you're a photographer, you have to go pro with all of these sites. You can't just have a
Unsubscribe.
free account, like, you know. So it's like, yeah, you kind of have to go for it. I mean, I have my website now that I just keep kind of updated, and that's kind of enough. And then I can filter little bits of my work through the other social networks. So I concentrate on having my website. I think that's one important thing I'd say to any photographers: get a good website.
Yeah, and would you use your social media then to push
Yeah.
people to the website?
Yeah, because there's some content that I will just only have exclusively for the website.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other content that I wouldn't put on the website that is just maybe for Facebook, you know, like the statuses of what I'm doing, or
Yeah.
I've got this premiere this week for a short film that I've done, but it's going to go exclusively online on my website. after, but it's not going to be anywhere else online.
Yeah.
And then I'll share it from my website to Facebook and etc.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many things nowadays you have to share from. It's can be quite tiring.
Yeah,
sit
you
and
can
do
see
it.
why people have, or companies have, social media. People that just do
Yeah.
that, that's their full-time job. Is
Yeah, that's always something I've been really good at faking, actually, which I probably shouldn't admit, but because I talk about Big Bad Llama in the third person, like people have a tendency to think that we're this company.
Yeah.
I even talk about it as a we because it gives people more belief like in what you're doing, and
Yeah.
it really is all about how you sell yourself. And I started out selling myself that way, and luckily like people see that and believe that too. So it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I've done everything myself, all my social media stuff, and that's even been an education in itself, like learning, where the best times of the day is to post and what
Yeah.
kind of posts people want to see. And it's always surprising to see what people are engaged with and what people like, because I can put up my work and I'm like, oh, I love this picture, it's going to get loads of likes, and then no one likes it, and then I put up some shit selfie.
and
And
goes
it
through
gets
the
like,
roof.
yeah, so it's just like, you just never know, and that's
Yeah.
the kind of fun of social media, is that just keep going.
Yeah, you
with
just got to
that.
keep plugging
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I like whenever we started this and doing the business page, and at the start it's great, and then they start to throttle your posts, and your reach is down into single figures.
Yeah.
And it's like, you look into what you can't, if they think you're trying to sell anything, the algorithm will pull it back, and it's like you say, a learning experience to sit down and be like, right, here's the best times of the day to post on Instagram, here's the best times of the day to do Twitter, here's the best
Yeah.
times for Facebook, and to then sit down and be like, right, I have to do this now, and
Yeah. 'Cause I really pulled back on my Instagram posts like the last couple of months, and my figures have went up quite a lot, like the people who are engaged with what I'm doing, and I'm literally only posting once every couple of days now.
Okay.
And it's all solely kind of work. I'll put the odd kind of selfie on there because I think people like to know who
Yes,
it is,
the
that's doing
personal,
it. As much as I say I talk about Big Bad Llama as this entity, people also know that it's me.
Yeah.
Because it's all about branding for me. Like I just thought Tony Webster photography wasn't going to be strong enough
Yeah.
for the type of work that I wanted to do, especially with doing a little bit of kind of short films and a tiny bit of graphic design and playing around with all those things. I didn't want to like just pigeonhole myself, so it just Big Bad Llama is great as like an umbrella term.
Yes.
So I can scout out like new work, and I can get away with more, hopefully.
Yeah, without using your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we said as well. Like, to have North Street Art Supplies, that doesn't say anything about you have a weird kind of
Yeah.
name. People think, okay, like what, is it a tattoo shop? Is that what is that? And they want to
people
come in
really
and
think about it.
yeah, and your little llama silhouette and stuff, and you can stamp that on. People are like, oh yeah, and they
Yeah.
know instantly, who it is.
Yeah,
without-
definitely. It really is like, for me, all about branding. And I took a seminar like on branding. Not that one seminar is like going to make me an expert, but it really did kind of open my eyes a bit more to like creating a product that people want psychologically, and the things that like people associate things with. So if people see like little llama logo, and I get people all over the world tagging me in pictures of llamas.
Yeah.
because they associate it like
Yeah,
with
as soon as they
something
see a
they've
llama,
seen
they're like, oh,
on
Tony
on
Webster
Instagram.
photography. Yeah, and they,
So that's been really cool. Like I've had that done like kind of all over the world, and
yeah.
so it's quite funny to see all the people that tag you in silly shit like that.
Yeah, but that's obviously the goal, is that permeates their consciousness to the point
Yeah.
where they can't see a llama without thinking of you.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of funny. It's always at Christmas whenever the Castle Court have the llamas and stuff.
oh yeah,
People are always like taking selfies with it and tag me on Facebook, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of funny. I've yet to get my picture taken with a llama, which I think is quite.
oh man, like out our way, apparently llamas are used to scare foxes away from sheep.
Oh, really?
If they have a big sheep field and the foxes are scaring them, they bring a llama in to scare
that's
the foxes
great.
off. So there you go. Next time I
I'll
see
have to
one,
see if
I'll
I
give
can-
you a call.
See about getting a pet llama.
Yeah, we had at Comic Con they have these like anime llamas in all like crazy colors, and like there's fangirls and
Oh,
cosplay
brilliant.
guys running about with these like. There's a seafoam green llama that we really wanted, but they literally flew out.
Oh,
I think it's going to be a big thing if
Yeah.
if the kind of anime crew are onto it, then
Brilliant.
there must be some, I don't know if it's a cartoon or whatever,
Yeah,
with
well,
these llamas in
hopefully
it.
people will get confused and accidentally go
Yeah, go to your
my
website.
Facebook or something.
Get your Google Analytics on that.
That's it.
So I remember you saying whenever not boasting here, but we did have a photo shoot about 1,000,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Whenever I was actually in shape.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you worked for Channel 4. That was a good while ago.
Yeah, I did some stuff with Channel 4. Well, I'm currently doing some stuff at the minute with them, like in partnership with a production company in Belfast. But I had done some...
What's the production company called?
Below the Radar.
Below the Radar.
I'm working with the wonderful Ryan Ralph, who's following me around, being a creep. No, but I was in Glasgow and I was working with a company that worked alongside Channel 4 that was kind of like feeding different ideas and provided like a creative space for young people to go, or creative people to go and have the resources that are available to, to Channel 4, and to be able to kind of filter ideas and stuff through. So it was really cool. Like, it was while I was living in Glasgow, and that kind of opened up a different side of kind of the media world that I was used to, and definitely taught me a lot about that. Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I got to kind of go to a bunch of different things. I went to a talk by the director from, like, one of the directors of Pixar, and there was just like all these different things on in Glasgow Art School that they kind of specifically set up monthly for these people to go to. So it was a brilliant experience. It was great.
And that the Channel 4 one you're doing now, did that come from that, or is it? It's
slightly connected, yeah. Well, like, one of the girls who I worked with in Glasgow met with Ryan Ralph from Below the Radar here, and they had talked about the idea of the type of work that I do. So basically out of that was born this series called The Male Body Handbook, it follows me as I photograph 6 different subjects, and it's all based around the male body. So each person that I photo's got a different kind of thing going on. So I photoed Sassy, who's a drag queen, and I photoed my friend Matt, who's got HIV, talking about body stigma and how people think that HIV positive means like dirty. We're also working with Stephen Getty. He's a great tattoo artist, completely covered in tattoos, and we're painting him completely back to normal with the tattoos. Class. So there's a lot of different kind of elements in it. So we're taking each person's personal story and doing a little kind of photo shoot documentary with them to talk about issues to do with the body. So
class.
Yeah, so it's great. It's like I'm getting to be kind of creative and do my own thing, and Ryan's getting to be creative, and we're working with loads of people from Northern Ireland, which is great. The first one is on Channel 4. It's not called 4OD anymore. All 4 or 4 something.
Is it the online one?
Yeah. It's on there now. It's called The Male Body Handbook, and the next 5 will be going up at some point in September, I think.
It's going to be like a released one every...
No, it's actually going to be all released
cool.
all at once, which is great. So it means you don't have to
wait
for them. Yeah, because I've been dying to see them too, and I've only seen the first 2.
So they don't show you them edited before?
We've filmed the first 3. And we resume filming next week on the second half of them, and I've seen the first 2, and I mean I just keep looking at the wee things I don't like about myself, but it's just so funny because they're all about, like, embracing kind of your body and all that, and I'm just like, oh, I hate this, I look so fat and that. But no, they're really, really good, and they're only 3 minutes long, so they're really engaging and provocative, and
just snappy and there.
Yeah, they're brilliant. You don't have to spend 20 minutes watching something unfold that you're not really interested in.
Yeah.
So even if you're not interested, it's only 3 minutes of your life, that's it.
How much filming does it take to...
It only really takes about a day's worth of filming. I know Ryan does a bit more because he will meet with them beforehand to do all the kind of the interviews and stuff, and then I come in for a day and we do the photo shoot. And it's great because Ryan's just given me kind of free control to do photo shoots with these people that I want to do. So it's great. Like, I'm getting to kind of put out all my own ideas that I might normally get to do. So yeah, it's a great collaboration. Like, I'm looking forward for them to be done, and then we've talked about potentially trying to go to America to do some as well.
Nice.
And that's a pipe dream.
Like a similar kind of thing, but
like Male Body Handbook Los Angeles is the plan.
Yeah, like those Humans of New York and Humans of Los Angeles Facebook pages really took off big, like this little vignette of somebody's life.
It's really, really cool, and that's kind of what these are like as well. You get this quick glimpse into someone's life, and you're kind of left wanting more at the end, even though they are kind of full circle in what they talk about, it definitely will make you want to go see more of them. So yeah, I hope people really love them as much as what we do.
Yeah, well, obviously that's something. Whenever you're reaching such a massive audience as a national television station, it could get picked up by if they go onto your website and be like, oh, he's looking to do this, and that's a massive springboard.
It'd be great.
You've been featured in Vogue a couple of times as well.
Yes, I've got quite a nice wee online presence with Vogue.it.
That's Italian Vogue.
Yeah, it is. So I feel like that's kind of like the holy grail for fashion photographers, which is good. Recently it's just been a wee bit insane. I've had my kind of profile with them photographers. It's all submission based, so you can submit things and you get 2 submissions a day. But the criteria is like so extremely tough. I was reading an article on it online, and it's just like it's all done by people, not computers. So
they literally flick through all.
Yeah, so you're actually dealing with editors, from these magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So even just getting a feature, like one feature is great. But I've been really lucky now to have nearly 15.
Nice.
And I've had 6 of them in the last month and a half. So it's just it's like you never know what they want to see because everything is so subjective. But I've started submitting kind of weird portraits to them, and that seems to be what they like.
This past
for
6
me,
months.
yeah. So I've just been kind of continuing to do that, and it's great. Like just being able to see your photo up on the site, and it's got like the Vogue logo and everything on it. You know, it's a really great wee thing. And then they shared one of them onto their Facebook page, and I've had one best of image that was in the magazine.
Nice.
So it's great. That is, like I say, the kind of holy grail.
Yeah.
For me, like I'm not mega into just wanting to be published in all these big publications for the sake of it. Like I really love working with smaller publications as well, because I've worked with a magazine in Northern Ireland, GNI magazine. It's kind of like a gay lifestyle magazine from their first issue, and like I'm just as proud of that coming out every month as what I am.
Italian
those other things, just because they also give me kind of creative freedom because they trust what I do.
Yeah.
So it's really nice just having your work kind of physically put somewhere.
Yeah.
Really
that's
cool.
obviously one of the big tick boxes for any kind of freelance creative is that you can, whether it's a journalist or photographer or whatever it happens to be, artist, if you get like a commissioned work or an article to write or whatever, somebody will say, oh yeah, do that, and you do it, and then they take it and they edit it and they ruin it, and you're like, that's not my original vision at all. For somebody, for you to be able to, them just to say, yeah, Tony, there you go, work away, do that, and then they put it in the magazine, and that's it.
I know they're great like that, and that is, a lot of things that people don't realize too is that you can have like good personal relationships in business. I think sometimes people try to keep them separate because they think it can get kind of messy.
Yeah.
But I always encourage, the people that I work with to have some sort of friendship with me, just because I think it makes it easier at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of models that I work with that always, tell me like, oh, you make me feel so comfortable when we're shooting, and it is because I do kind of chat shit to people and just like want to get to know them a bit before I shoot them. I just think like sometimes people can be so like professional that it's so cold, and then I think that can be really reflected in your work if you're not really that much into it, So I hope that when I photo people, that people can see there's something there, and that's hopefully what I get out of the person who's photoing them.
If you're bringing out their personality, and that's you can see that then in the images, and it's a real photo of that person. It's not just maybe there are some models that just work better like that with them just doing the poses and whatever, but for me personally, I would far rather have a bit of crack.
Particularly for portraits, and stuff that you want people to engage with, that there has to be something a bit different to it. This one model I work with, Melissa Elliott from Belfast, who I absolutely love, she's kind of this kind of shy, timid girl, but I ask her to do all this weird, stupid stuff, like, put your hand like halfway over your face, or like pull your eyelid down, and she'll just do it, she'll do it. And we were lucky to have like 3 features on Vogue this month because we just did some really weird portraits. So
and
it was.
You submitted them, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so we're really lucky, and she's like, oh, I hate them, I look so ugly, but she doesn't care. She's happy for me to use them.
Yeah, because that's your vision.
Yeah, she to me is like the best model, I think so.
Yeah, with shout out. You said you got two submissions a day for Vogue, and they have an email submission, and you mail them.
It's online. You can create like a profile and
Okay.
do it that way, so that you can get 2 a day. And if I can remember, or I have work that I think is worth going up there, then I always try to, because I mean,
Yeah.
you may as well,
Yeah.
you know. And I've never been, you know, shy of telling people. It's all submission based, you know, and I have submitted my work to so many different places, and a lot of people have asked me, well, how did you get to do this job, or how did you get to do this job? I just kind of asked for it.
Yeah.
And that's why my biggest piece of advice to people is just like, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
So you may as well try. And I would just email clothing brands and apparel brands and say, if you send me like some t-shirts or whatever, I will shoot them, and you can use the pictures for whatever you want. And then the more I started doing that, the more other brands saw the work
What
that
you
I
were
was
doing.
doing, and then contacted me to do jobs. So like that has essentially led to me going over to America to shoot music videos. And you know, because I'm maybe a bit cheeky and bold, and I ask for the things that I want, you know. I
Yeah.
don't just sit around at my computer hoping someone's going to email me and book me for a job. Like, I'm very actively out there. Like, it's your own career, like you have to be like quite active
Yeah.
about it. Of course it looks like really glamorous whenever you're on Facebook and you're saying off to LA today to shoot a music video.
Yeah.
People don't realize, you know, you've been talking for months or trying to raise funds or
Yeah.
all this. You know, you just have to be bold and ask for what you want.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not just going to like fall into your lap. Like, it's like any other job. Like, you can be talented and that can get you noticed quicker, but you have to work hard as well.
Put yourself out there.
And when I'm not shooting, I am editing. It's literally like the story of my life, you know.
Yeah, you put the camera down, pick up the Mac, and that's it.
Yeah,
till
that's it.
bedtime.
Like, you know, sometimes I let myself have a day off, or I'll, you know, actively go to the cinema or something so that I don't have to sit behind my computer. But
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to sit at home and know that
Not
my
take the
computer's
computer
sitting
out.
there. Yeah. So normally it's like I'll sit down and watch some TV with Martin, and then if he gets tired and goes to bed, then I'm like, okay, well,
Laptop out.
now I can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing a lot of, well, every self-employed creative person will
Yeah.
say, because you love doing it, you want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, you need to make that, you know, transition from this is my work hours, this is my relaxation hours, and you know, I suppose at the start it is, and you
Yeah.
have the time, you just want to do it 24/7.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think the biggest lesson I learned, I keep saying this about every lesson I've learned, but they're all quite big and important. I found that to be a better artist, I had to be a better businessman.
Yeah.
And there were all these jobs that I didn't want to do, jobs that I didn't want to do. Like any artist, you just want to, I only want to do my art and
Yeah.
take my art so seriously. And then you just realize that when you start running a business that you can't really be that way.
Yeah.
And normally you either employ someone else to do all that stuff for you, but like I haven't really got to the point where I feel comfortable handing someone
Trusting
else
somebody
my-
with it.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's more just like I know that if something goes wrong with it, at least I can blame myself at the end of the day,
Yes.
and I wouldn't want to have to like blame someone else.
Yeah.
And the better I got at doing business, the better I got at being an artist and doing all the crappy jobs that you don't really want to do, but you put a smile on your face and you do them anyway, enables you to do all the stuff that you really want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like some of my work is corporate, and I'm not saying that that's crappy, but that's like, it's a bill paying job.
Yeah.
And that enables me to do other jobs that I enjoy doing that
Yes.
have less of a budget. Essentially, the goal for anyone is to be doing all jobs with big budgets, which, you know, there
Yeah.
are jobs out there with good budgets, but you know, a lot of people just kind of start and they're like, well, I just want to do the jobs that I just want to do. It's like, so do
Yeah.
I.
Good luck.
Enjoy being poor.
Yeah, with asking the apparel companies and things for, you know, the stuff to shoot, would you advise that just ask everybody, or is there?
No, I would ask people just, especially with stuff that you specifically like, because if you see certain apparel brands that you like, that you have an idea then for shooting, you just don't want to collect in all this stuff and then you've got no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
So you've got
Have the vision first and
Yeah,
then-
you have to go in with a kind of rough idea and a decent bit of a portfolio for them to see that it's worthwhile them sending you, because you know, at the end of the day, this is like how they make their money too.
Yeah.
So it's got to be worth their while when they're sending you things. And I've got a few now that I work quite closely with that'll send me stuff in a heartbeat because they know they'll get back great images.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, and if I was thinner, I would probably keep all the clothes and wear them. But
Do you get the, or you send them back?
No, they generally
Yeah.
let you keep them, but for me, most of the time I will let the models keep them because
Yeah, that's cool.
if I'm doing a job, kind of either low budget or for free, then it can be harder sometimes to pay the models
so
or
it's
the
a
other
perk for
people
them.
involved. Yeah, because there's a lot of like, time for print work
Yeah.
in Northern Ireland, and I don't really do much of it anymore unless it's something that I really, really want to do. But you kind of have to do it at the start, and you have to build up your portfolio, and you have to pay your dues a bit as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine to not do unpaid work. I would say I'm definitely part of a group that like doesn't do unpaid work, but me and some other people in that group would collaborate together on things that we don't get paid to do.
Yes.
But it's just because like you get a nice group of creatives around you and you just enjoy working together, and if you get some free t-shirts or a jumper or whatever out
Yeah,
of it,
and
then
you want to do it.
yeah, then it's all good. But yeah, I would just always tell people like go collaborate with people that you like, and don't use these terms like time for print or blah blah blah, because
You see so much like
it can just get really confused.
TFP
Well, that's
models.
it. You get girls who aren't. I don't want to go down this road. For example, you get girls that aren't models who are like, I want to get some nice pictures taken with my boyfriend. Like dead high fashion. We're going to wear stuff from Primark. Time for print. Who's interested? Like they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
I was like, and you know what? Like, if you want to do that with those people, I totally applaud that, and you should. And I've done plenty of that in the start of my career. But it's all really about mutual respect, and you've got to like respect that everyone's given of their time. And I think the moment that me and the certain group of creatives that I work with, the moment we all got that, the pressure was off in terms of being like, well, how is this going to help me, or how's this going to help you?
Yeah.
Like those ruffians go.
Hallions outside. North Street's finest. And it's just gone. Yeah, so are you a group of photographers, or is it photographers and models?
No,
and...
it's not even a real group. It's more just like a group of people that I happen to know that I would continually do work with. Like Rebecca Bryson, who's a makeup artist friend of mine. Like we will always work and collaborate with each other, and we also give each other paid jobs all the time, from certain clients. So that's what makes it easier to want to work together, because, there is money in it for us too. But we do a lot of just creative stuff together, just to kind of be creative and have
express
some
yourself
fun.
and have fun.
Kira Daly's another one. I do some work with her, and I know that if I need something, she'll do it for me. It is all kind of about like respecting each other's work, and if you need a favor,
you can call
people
them
will
up.
do it for you. But that's what you have to realize, is like you can't be sneaky and you be getting paid for a job and then not paying someone else.
Yeah.
That's very much like a business side of things, and I've had that happen to me before, where a stylist has been paid to sort out the shoot, and then they've kept the money and got everyone else to do everything for free. But people have agreed to do it for free, so I mean, fair play, even though it's not great to the stylist for doing that. But one of my first big jobs, print jobs as well, like I didn't realize that like everyone got paid except for me.
But you just
But
thought
I
it was
agreed
an
to do it
unpaid
because I was
job?
happy enough to do it,
Yeah.
because I thought it was an unpaid job. So it's good to always talk about the terms and conditions of what you're
before
doing
you go into it.
and what people expect, because it is hard. Like when you're working with so many people, everybody's got a different expectation of, I thought I was going to get all the pictures from today. And then me being a photographer would be like, well, I might have took like 30 headshots, but I'll give you 5 really good ones. It's just because you don't want the 25 okay-ish ones.
Yeah.
Not that I would take 25 not okay photos.
Yeah.
But it's just, you want to give them the best of the best.
Yeah.
But then some people are just like, well, I want all 25 and I want them unedited. And it's like, to me, I always hate showing people my unedited work, because it's really half a process for me, because I really love the post stuff, with color correction and Photoshop, and especially doing mainly fashion. There are a lot of things that you have to make industry standard in terms of texture and skin and size and all that kind of stuff, even though that's quite a controversial thing for people to think, stop making models skinny, or stop making them unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that would be great if that wasn't what every magazine that I'm submitting to wants.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing, but at the end of the day, if they say my clothes look better on a size 6 model, then that's, you'll want the clothes more if they're on that
most
girl.
designers make their clothes to fit mannequins, so there's not a lot of girls who are realistically the size of mannequins.
Yeah.
So when they do get one, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, just make bigger mannequins.
That's it. Yeah.
There was somebody doing that though, wasn't there?
Yeah, there definitely are like more
Realistic mannequins.
realistic. Yeah, realistic's the good term.
Yeah.
You never know what to. Well, not maybe realistic actually isn't a good term. More.
Yeah, you need a wider range, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
You'd
it.
need
A broad range. Because I've kind of got suckered into these debates recently of the whole real women have curves and real women this and real women that.
Yeah.
But I work with a bunch of models that I absolutely love, who I'm friends with, that I take offence for them because, I mean, they're real women too, and they work hard because it's their job to be
slim,
to either be slim or to really look after themselves, and we're just like stuck in this horrible part of society where we're glorifying either end of the spectrum, and no one's really concerned about what's healthy. And
Yes.
that should really be the concern, is like teaching people to be healthy and accepting that there are lots of different body types.
Yeah.
And that clothes can be made to flatter all different types of bodies. But not just saying like it's okay to be, a size 22 and curvy and own it, and the same as saying like, being stick thin, like that's not
Yes.
completely okay either.
Yeah.
Depending on what your body's natural kind of state is.
That's like, not to get into the whole debate,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you mentioned the word healthy, because that's that's the thing at the end of the day.
That's it.
Anorexia is not healthy. But nobody's, well, the ones that are glorifying that are completely demonized, and that's a very dangerous
That's
part of
it.
society.
It is very much extreme on either end
Yeah.
of the spectrum, and I posted an article that I'd seen on BuzzFeed about it a few months ago, and within the matter of hours I had like 9,000 shares. It just like kind of went viral.
Yeah.
But then like the next day, BuzzFeed, I don't think that was my response, but I think BuzzFeed had changed the title of the article
Okay.
and the pictures that they were using, so part of me was like, oh, it'd be great if that was kind of my...
You caused that?
Yeah, but I don't think it was. But it definitely, you can see it's an issue that everyone seems to have an opinion on.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to be talked about, is the whole, being healthy is more important than being thin.
Yeah.
Or being fat.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll probably. Well, it's hard to know whether it'll pass or not in this part. Like, is it tests?
Well, it'll all be trend based and what is popular at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously because there is the the plus size model Tess, who looks amazing. She's a great looking kind of big curvy girl.
Yeah.
And because that's something that's very in and trendy, then people are kind of going against models that are slim.
Yeah.
But then a few years ago when it was size 0, then it was like you couldn't be anything but a size 0. So it really is swings and roundabouts of what's trendy and what's in season. And that's why we just need to really make like a importance like of it just being healthy more than anything else.
Yeah, that was there was a funny. It might have been. I don't know. It wasn't BuzzFeed, I don't think, but whoever it was, they said they had a whole big test monster thing, and then they said, but actually, she's equally as photoshopped as the skinny girls, and they wipe out the cellulite, they accentuate the curves sometimes because she's almost like a cartoon character, but they have to make her look sexy and look good, because if you've seen her, you see the unedited photos, she still looks good, very pretty girl, but there's a lot of bumps there that are like, oh yeah, we'll smooth that one over, and
That's it with all kind of fashion-based photography, and it would be great if it wasn't that way. Like in an ideal world, wouldn't it be great to just put some clothes on a regular person and just have that be that?
Yeah.
But
that doesn't sell clothes.
Not right now, it doesn't, and that's just the industry standard exists probably because we keep propagating it, and then it's good now that people are standing up to, either or end of the spectrum and saying, no, this isn't healthy or this isn't healthy, because that's how it'll change. But it's like anything, it just takes time really for it to change. And I love working with people of all different sizes, That's really kind of what my Tumblr's about too. It's all body positive, and there's many different people of, background, race, sexuality, whatever. Just try to photograph as many people as I can before I die.
Yeah, it's a good enough end game, I suppose.
Yeah.
Have you had any major obstacles that whenever you've, on the, I suppose, taking it day to day like you do? There's not really anything you'd come up against that you could, that would be on the path necessarily, but anything that's came along and kind of blindsided you?
in terms of kind of like my career.
Yeah, just like as a photographer.
Oh yeah, definitely. Other photographers. um, yeah, there's just like a lot of people always told me like, or a lot of creatives will also say that other creatives are some of like the nastiest people too. But I find that if you really concern yourself with what other people think, then that will become an obstacle for you.
Yes.
And you will realize obstacles in your way a lot more, because you'll be very aware of what people are saying about your work, or what people are doing, or so and so copied you, or so and so did this. And I used to be really aware of that, because when I first started doing photography, like fashion photography, when I came back to Northern Ireland, like I had a lot of people who'd been doing it maybe for 10 years or whatever, very happily saying publicly, you know, how crap my work was, or how this or how that. The thing is, my end game was to really work at what I did, and, you know, grow and forge a career out of it. And I was very teachable, whereas Northern Ireland, in a way, can sometimes, people can walk in the way of themselves, and they always blame Belfast and they always blame Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not the issue. It's like the mentality of it, where some people in Northern Ireland will think like that's their end game. You know, be a bigwig in Northern Ireland, and that's it. But I've always been like, I just want to be good at what I do, full stop, regardless of where I am. The more I kind of focused on what people were saying or what people thought about my work, the more it really got in my way, and I felt like I wasn't doing good work, because I was just really preoccupied with like, is this going to be good enough? What are they going to say about this? And then gradually I just kind of realized, well, and people would say to me, well, just like don't pay any attention to them. And it's really easy for people to say that, you know, and it's hard to apply it.
Whenever they're not in your
But I
shoes.
just got to the point where I just stopped paying attention to it and kept doing my work, and then more people were engaging with it. And then the more people that were engaging with it, like, I didn't care about the people that didn't like it. And I've still got plenty of people that either don't like my work, or they don't like the fact that I'm not, you know, education taught, or that maybe I'm a little bit unconventional, that I love like shooting outdoors and not in a studio. You know, there really is room for everybody.
Yeah, that's why it's called being creative. You know.
Well, that's it, yeah, because it is subjective. And like, I was really lucky that, like, I feel like now a lot of those people that I really looked up to and respected, who were so kind of horrible on the way up, you know, I just feel quite good about the work that I'm doing now. I've got a good audience, and I've got good things coming out of it, and, you know, I just find I actually don't have any time to really slag anyone else off about it, because I kind of realize, well, if these people have time to slag me off, then they're obviously not working enough. So
yeah, that's
and
a good way to
just
look
like,
at it.
I just try to keep myself to myself, and of course, like anyone, I've got opinions on other people's work, but that's what they just are. Opinions are opinions, and art is subjective, you know. And I love seeing like this new wave of creatives in Belfast, like from designers to makeup artists, hairstylists, like, you know, graphic designers, everything. Belfast is going through a really cool period right now, where there's just this real creative growth spurt. So it'll be really cool to see in a few years, whether when all the degrees are done, like what people are going to be doing.
Yeah.
And because there's so much for people to be able to do. I mean, Northern Ireland is growing economically, you know, the UK is growing economically, the world is growing, you know. I just would always tell people, like, just don't limit yourself to Northern Ireland. Like, I never thought at all when I started doing this that I would, you know, be shooting New York Fashion Week, or working with designers like Victor Luna, or models, you know, who are internationally like renowned. And I never thought that, and I never thought my work would be good enough to do that. But it really was never about work being good enough. I think it was all about being teachable and having a good attitude. And like, when I went to America, I couldn't believe like some of the stuff that I got to do, you know, and I was running around like a giddy schoolgirl, having to remind myself that, like, no, they want me to be here, so I, like,
this is your life.
Yeah, I need to like chill out a wee bit about it. And you just, like, there might even be people who listen to this and thinking like, oh, he doesn't deserve that, his work's not that good or whatever. It's like, so still did it.
Yeah.
So
Bitch.
So it doesn't really matter. I would always just tell people, like, just don't say dream big.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, but always go for the best version of like what your life can be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just like, what are you gonna have when you're 40 and you look back and you're like, that would have really been the time to go to New York for a year to do this or do that. And I just like think that people here don't think that what they do or their talent can rival international talent.
Yes.
Like, well, actually, yes, it can, and hopefully I'm an example of that, and designers from here who have went onwards are example of that. Like Chris Sutton, who works with Karl Lagerfeld, is from Belfast. You know, there's just like so many opportunities out there, but you have to just like hunt them out and believe in them too, and just get used to a lot of rejection. Because the sooner you get used to rejection, the more you're able to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And then it's by doing that, you know, that you'll find good opportunities. Because you don't just walk into, you know, I didn't start taking photos and all of a sudden someone was like, "Do you want to shoot New York Fashion Week?" It's like, that would be great.
Yeah,
but like I had a lot
of
of work in between times, you know.
Yeah. What would you say between being adaptable and being teachable and against, you know, compromising your, you know, your end vision? You know, did you have that end vision of like, I want my work to look like this, or was it just you kind of made it up as you went along?
Yeah, I mean, it goes kind of again in trends of kind of what I'm learning at the time, either whether that's through Photoshop or color grading or editing, you know, for magazine standard. I'm just kind of always trying to learn what's current, because I want to keep up with obviously what's in the magazines, and I want my work to be relevant. So sometimes you do have to compromise your vision to make your work relevant. Artists or I'm sure some real artists out there will tell you like, oh, there's no compromise.
Yes, exactly.
Ever.
You have to keep your work.
Yeah, but I'm not just an artist. Like, I'm also a businessman. Like, I want to pay my rent, and I want to like do all these nice things.
So, yeah, you're not selling out. You're just paying the rent.
That's it. You know, and it's good. It's all about, if you believe in your work enough, you can make other people believe in it, and then you won't have to compromise as much.
Yeah.
So the more that you learn your craft to the best of your ability, and stay relevant, that's always something that I think is so important. Because I know some people who couldn't even tell you who their favorite designer is, which is fine if you're not really into that, but you can't like work in an industry that you don't know anything about.
Yes.
Especially like, I come across so many models that tell me like their favorite clothes are like from Topshop or Hollister, and that's fine because they do great clothes, but like Topshop and Hollister aren't, you know, coming down
not fashion
like
brands.
So it's just being educated and researching, kind of,
and find out what you like.
Well, that's it. Yeah. And like, you do sometimes have to make compromises on your end vision, but as long as you get paid,
you can always go back to the vision.
That's it. Yeah, you know, you do really want to make money. If you want to continue to be an artist, you have to make money.
Yes.
Or you can be an artist in your 20s and then get a, air quote, real job when you're 30.
Yeah.
But who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. So that's why I would rather make some money now and, you know, do it that way.
Yeah. I suppose you can always, like you say, have, you know, Filthy Bad Llama and have Big Bad Llama and do the other things that you want to do as a separate side project, and then keep your commercial side as, you know, your commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's just all about like trying new things too. Like, sometimes I just don't have the creative flair to do any Filthy Bad Llama stuff. I just am a bit burnt out or have no new ideas. Sometimes it's like that with Big Bad Llama, and just kind of keep my head down and work away on other things. Recently I've been like working on a short documentary, you know, so I do like loads of wee different things, because I'm just trying to keep myself kind of creative and find out like what I like to do. Because I find like being like, I'm good with directing in terms of my photo shoots, and that's kind of translated to my video work. So I would love to like do some directing things, and I just think as long as you're like open to wherever the kind of art form you do takes you, like you can end up doing so much stuff that you mightn't have even ever thought about doing in the first place.
Yeah, I love the movie Yes Man, just for that simple fact. You know, it's based on a true story. Like, obviously, the movie isn't exactly as it happened. I have the book in the house. I haven't read it, but I know he's a British guy. You know, and that was a big step for him just to go and do that. And then next thing, you know, he's a multimillionaire because they picked it up. But you know, that I love the fact that you know, it becoming a movie is obviously such a big continuation of the book itself. You know, he just was like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. And, you know, I don't know whether people here worry about getting, you know, pigeonholed into, you know, something that they don't want to do, like, for the rest of their lives. You know, like, you know, if you went and did one landscape shoot and it ended up being amazing, and everybody
Yeah.
wanted you to go and shoot landscapes all day, every day, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is shit, you know, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, well, you definitely do get a bit of that too, and but I think you can only really let yourself be pigeonholed. Like, people can tell you what you are, but no one really knows like what you are. Like, only you
Yeah.
really do, and like you do go through spurts where it's like all I've been doing is like e-commerce stuff for ASOS,
Yeah.
or all I've been doing is like guys with six packs. All well, not doing the photographing. guys with,
So bad
guys
for
with
you,
six
Tony?
packs all week, you know, and you're just like, oh, you know, and that does get tiring. Like, it's not as fun as what, you know, people think it is. But yeah, it's just like as long as you keep challenging yourself, then don't let people pigeonhole you,
Yeah.
because people will try to. Because we are just like a label society where we like to know, we like to name people so we know what they are. Like, oh,
Yes.
he's a landscape photographer. He's this. Like, I think I have on my Instagram like fashion, commercial, and portrait photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also like, but I also photo a lot of drag queens, and then
Yeah.
I do quite a lot of naked people. But I can't put fashion, commercial, portrait.
Yeah, you can't pigeonhole
you
that.
know. Yeah, so it's just like go. You know, I don't even like calling myself a photographer.
Yeah.
Because I know I do some other things that aren't, you know, photography based
Yeah.
too. So it's really hard. Like, so if you just accept that you just are you just do your own thing.
Yeah.
And just like try not to worry about what other people say about you.
Yeah.
If they put you in a pigeonhole and you're getting good work out of it, then enjoy it for a wee while.
Yeah, and then you worry about it later
Yeah,
after
yeah.
you make the money. Do you think that people in Northern Ireland, probably I was going to say Belfast, but I think it's a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have the end game, like the dream, but you know the little devil on the shoulder of the end game is, oh, you're always going to be stuck in Belfast. You know, that's a hindrance towards going for that because
Yeah, definitely. But I also think that that's a bit of a double-edged sword, so to speak, because Belfast, I think sometimes people put in their way, and like I said earlier, kind of blame for everything. And people will say to me sometimes, "Why do you still live in Belfast if you're like so successful at what you do?"
Yeah.
I'm like, but I love Belfast, and logistically, it's great for me. Like, I like being here because it's my home, and I'd been gone, you know, for 7 years prior. And my family live here, and it's cheap rent, and you know, it's all my friends are here, and it's great for me right now. And then it's a great base where I can kind of travel all over the world too, relatively cheap-ish. But then I know other people who will leave Belfast just because they hate Belfast and they don't see how they can ever be successful, and go live in London and have to get a job as a waiter because they can't afford their rent, and then they end up just being a waiter for 20 years.
Yeah.
Which, you know, no disrespect to anyone who wants to get out of Belfast, but I always feel like, why not put yourself in a place you can afford to live that allows you to be able to do what you want to do?
Yeah.
And that's what Belfast is for me. Now, I know sometimes the opportunities aren't in Belfast as what they are in London or any other major city. That's why I think it's kind of important to build your work up a wee bit, so, and then you can kind of choose, you know,
Yeah.
where you want to live. But yeah, people very much put, like, you do fall into that trap of thinking that if you're stuck in Belfast, you can't make anything of yourself. But I think that you can. But then I also think that people should not be scared to leave Belfast either. So it is kind of, it depends on the type of person,
Yes.
you know.
If the opportunity arises to
Yeah.
go.
Definitely go.
Experience
I would
that.
always tell people, go unless you feel that you're really meant to stay,
Yeah.
because you can always come back.
Yeah. Yep. If you could send a message back to your younger self,
Oh God.
what would you when you were just starting out, say whenever you were kind of, you know, just come back from, well, maybe not even come back from America, if there's a point that you could go back to and say,
Work wise,
yeah,
oh God, I would just scream edit at myself. I just used to, like, because I was trying to be creative and play around with like edits, they were so bad.
yeah,
And I would put like 130 photos up from a photo shoot instead of going through and picking like the
Best.
best 10. I was so bad for that because I just wanted to have content out there.
and have,
I just
yeah,
wanted people to
everything,
see it.
yeah,
And in the last few years, obviously, my BigBadLlama page, I went back through and deleted kind of all the
old stuff, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's definitely my work thing. I would shout at myself would be a bit more picky.
Yeah.
And edit. Life wise, I would just, I don't know. I think maybe tell myself not to get too comfortable, because I had like my first burst of success, then I got really comfortable and just felt like I wasn't doing anything good and I couldn't like repeat it. And then
And was that just you, or did you plateau?
I think I plateaued for sure because I thought like, oh well, this is the best that I
And
can
you
be.
kind of laid back a little
Yeah,
bit.
so I was like, well, I'm doing the best I can. Not like I'm the best in Northern Ireland. I'm just meant, oh, I'm doing the best I can do.
Yes.
I can't get any better
This
than
is
this.
it.
But that was a really like, that made me worse, and it didn't challenge me or make. And then I saw other people doing work that I thought was more interesting than mine. And I was like, oh, that was a good kick up the bum to be like, don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
And you know, like I actively kind of pursue education and courses now, you know, to do certain things. You know, I've done some training with Glenn Norwood, who's a fashion photographer here, that he's so amazing. Everything he does, I just like, I want my work to look like that.
Yeah.
And my work like won't look like that because I've got a completely different style. But like going and doing some training with him, you know, I've been able to take some really cool things away from that. I think, yeah, it's just, I would go back and just tell myself to not be lazy and keep learning and don't get comfortable and don't think you're the shit, because you're not. There's always someone better than
Yeah,
you.
that's, yeah, like that. Do you think it's good to find like a mentor like that, or somebody, you know, obviously you don't want to be a carbon copy of somebody, but
It's always good to find like sources of inspiration like anywhere. Like I really, really admire, despite all the personal stuff, like Terry Richardson, and I love his work because the reason I love it is because it's so simple. It's just a camera with a flash.
yeah,
And there's a photographer from Northern Ireland as well who does like girl erotica, Erin Elizabeth Kelly, and she's so amazing. Her work is so good. It's really provocative, and that definitely inspired some Big Bad Llama stuff as well. But at the heart of it, what's great about like Erin and, you know, Terry Richardson is that it's simple. They're not these people that are trying to be bogged down with like, oh, my fancy equipment or all of this, you know,
Yeah.
because you can get like bogged down in that really quickly, being like an equipment whore or like having like all the best things. Well, I think like look for inspiration in other people's work for sure, and then try it out, but put your own stamp on it. And I've been lucky, just I don't know what it is about my work that is quite like personal, or people know my work when they see it. I don't know, so I kind of like I draw inspiration from lots of different
Yeah.
things.
have
But
a wide range of interests that
yeah,
you can.
I think
draw
if I
from.
had like started out in Belfast more, I would have loved to have found someone here that I could go to kind of critique my work. But because I did it all kind of myself, and I came home from being away for 7 years and even didn't know that many people, and breaking into that photography scene was so hard, I did have to do it all myself, and that's why I wasn't good at the edit part.
Yes.
You know, in terms of like being able to
Like,
put the good work up.
look at all my things, and
Yeah,
there
like
they
look
are.
at them all. I got a camera. You know, that was it. But yeah, I would say if it's available to you to have someone like that, that's why I think education is brilliant, because you've got teachers and peers that you can talk to about everything. That's why I'd say if you can learn photography
Yeah.
professionally, you should definitely do it.
Yeah. Do you think I would be quite anti-education in that, not anti-education necessarily, but anti. It's hard getting good teachers. I think.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the old saying, those who can't do, those who can't teach. You know, if you're a photography teacher, you maybe
Didn't
weren't
make it
good
as
enough
a
to be a photographer. So, you know, like especially art teachers.
Yeah,
are
of
the
course.
worst.
I mean, that's definitely a dangerous but kind of truthful statement.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely obviously a load of talented, great. I mean, if you look at the talent coming out of Northern Ireland now, the teachers are obviously doing something
Oh yeah,
right,
definitely.
which is good.
A lot of, I think, teachers, like especially at university
But there's-
standard,
yeah.
are part time. They have their own business,
Yeah.
and then they do teaching a few
But
times
there's
a
so
week.
many you see here. You see the students at their end of year shows and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, like your stuff is so good,
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily taught. But so I think that it's really good. Whatever the teachers are doing nowadays, it's almost just like kind of encouraging and nourishing, and
rather than showing them this is the
rather
way you
than
have to
being
do
like,
it.
yeah.
Yes.
Because I know some designers who've completely surpassed their teachers in terms of ability. Mm-hmm. But some people just have a really natural ability for things.
Yeah.
Other people have a really natural, like, creative mind.
Yeah.
So it's whatever way it's all going together now. I would love to know what my photography would be like if I had
Yes,
learned.
a formal
It probably would have
education in
been
it.
very, very different.
Yeah.
Because I can sometimes be a bit of a stickler for the way that you do things, which is funny being like not, formally trained.
Yes.
But even like, because Martin's got a very keen interest in photography and video, and if he asks me to do something, I'm like, why are you doing it like that? Like
That's not the way you
that's
do
not
it.
the way you do it. Yeah, and then my way is totally not the way that someone else would do it.
Yeah.
So it can, obviously, if you're not formally taught, you also pass on bad habits too.
Yes.
So it's just, yeah, and I would never know what my work would be like
Yeah.
without that. But
Yeah, I suppose that you would always kind of think with, maybe it's just because I had a bad experience with, you know, creativity in school, that it's just a conveyor belt, you know, that everybody's going to end up the same. But like you say, the people who go on will be the people who have creative flair and that are different. You know, the people who
Yeah.
are crap at it, obviously they're just going to be clones of the teacher because all they're doing is what the teacher
Yeah.
is telling them. It's the ones who are a bit more out there and have their own
Yeah.
ideas. And like, well, yeah, that's
like, I hope a lot of these kind of artists we're seeing now in Northern Ireland do some sort of part-time teaching in the end.
Yeah.
Too, because it would be great for artists to, you know, to teach, to kind of
pass that
pass
on.
on. Yeah. You know, and I don't think, like, I've run little like workshops and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's mainly just me passing on things that I know. I would never say, you know, like, here's how to learn how to use your camera. But I'm like, this is how I use my camera. If you want to apply it the same
you
way,
can, yeah.
because I think it's good for people to be taught a completely different range of techniques and things. And there's a lot of things I do technically right that I don't realize I'm doing technically right. But if
Yeah.
I was in a class setting, they'd be like, "Yep, well done."
Yeah,
You
and
know?
you're like, oh, that's
I
just
but
how I
just
do
don't
it.
know,
Yeah. You just picked it up, or
And people be
it
like, "Why
was-
do you do that?" I was like, "I just know that this does this on my camera, so then I do
Yeah.
that, and that's what happens."
Yeah, it's almost better to know it that way rather than have to
Yeah.
suppose, you know, like you say, maybe some things
Like, it means
have
you
bad
really,
habits, but
you really get to, like, it's all to do like with your equipment and your tools. Like, when you're an artist, and your camera really is an extension of you and what you see in your head.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be, it sounds so wanky, but you have to like really be kind of at one with it, and you need to know it inside out.
Yes.
Same way when you're painting, like, you're not really thinking about, okay, I'm going to do this nice little flick. It's just like all this
yeah, you're putting what's in your
natural
head onto the page.
Yeah. So that's why I always tell people that the tools aren't always the most important part. It's more about like your connection with the type of work that you're trying to do. Because if I went from having like a Canon 60D, which is kind of like a bridge camera, you know, that like you can get relatively cheap, to having a 5D Mark III, and I really didn't want to use my Mark III because I just was like, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yes.
knew my other camera, and I could do anything on my other camera. And now I'm at the point now I know my camera inside
Yes.
out. But it's
But
just
you
that,
had to
that
sit and
process was so
learn it.
Yeah, it was scary, you know, because it is like, you have to retrain
Yeah.
yourself. Even the weight and everything of it is all different. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like,
And was there a period of images that you were like you weren't happy with it because you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have the hang of it yet?
yeah,
So
definitely. Like at the start, because I was using a lot of like off-camera flash, and because I really liked my built-in flash for my kind of Terry Richardson inspired work, because I love the simplicity of it, and I never claimed it to be something that it wasn't. You know, I feel like when you get more expensive equipment, you have to like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just gonna do this with this lens and do this with that lens. But I just do what I do and try to figure out how to do it on my camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely a period of time where there was just images where I was like, oh, what am I doing wrong? I can't make. It's all basically to do with lighting for
Yes.
me. Like, lighting is something I'm learning completely, and I've got a great grasp now of how to do things.
just practice.
Yeah, practice, and like did some training with Glenn Norwood as well. You know, because his work is primarily like studio based, whereas all my work has been location based, because I love being on location and using natural light. Like, I would be a natural light master, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite thing. So that's why the studio stuff is like a challenge for me, but it's
Yeah.
a welcome challenge. Like, you know, I want to learn
Yeah.
how to do it. You know, I'm not just gonna be like, I'm only gonna shoot natural light stuff forever,
Yeah.
because I'm just an
That's what I
artist.
do.
I only work with
It's my
natural
vision.
light.
Yeah. But yeah, like and having fun learning. I suppose that's
Yeah, that's
you know,
it.
It doesn't
Having
feel like
fun
oh, I have
and
to go and try
not
to do
being
this.
afraid to produce some shite.
Yeah. So it happens and it passes and
Yeah.
you move on.
I'm not so artistic that I love every single piece of thing that
You put out.
I very much I like being able to work around my end vision and then be able to take, you know, from it
Yeah.
what I want. So, yeah.
Nice. Firing some quick questions so you
Yes.
can answer these as there's keys. You can answer these You can elaborate, or if you just want to
Okay,
just
fire an answer.
fire an answer, that's fine.
I know, sorry, I'm such a waffler.
No,
when
that's
I
good,
talk.
man. Yeah, because that leads on to the other stuff, the good stuff. What's the number one best thing about being your own boss?
Ooh, best thing about being my own boss is having all my own wages. I know exactly what I'm getting at the end of the month, and also being able to like lie into like 10 in the morning and stay up a bit later.
Best
It's
ever.
all the timing, really. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the most common misconception about being your own boss?
That you don't do anything. That you're just kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Especially, see, because I work from home as well. Like if we've had dinner the night before and the dishes are there, and Martin goes out to work, you know, his real job, and I'm sitting. Did that keep recording?
I'm not sure. Yes. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. That's okay.
And he'll be like, well, why didn't you do the dishes? I'm like, well, I've been working too.
Yeah.
So that's the hard, like one of the hard things.
I suppose you
because-
realise that now. It's like this is your job as well as you just happen to be at home doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It saves you having to pay for an office somewhere to do the same thing that you can do in the living room.
Yeah, biggest misconception. It's not as fancy free as what people would like to believe it is.
Very true. When you hear the word successful, who's the first person that comes to mind, and why?
When I hear successful, oh, that kind of is a hard one.
You can't say Terry Richardson.
I know. I feel like I want to say Terry Richardson, but like, I can't really. You should totally edit this part. So
Well, you can
get
you
the
can
thing.
cut that in. Well, you can say Terry Richardson, I suppose, because that was the first person that I thought of, because whenever you think of photographer, all the controversy and stuff, but he was the one that was able to get the hottest girls in the world to get naked and take pictures of them and have a laugh when nobody else could do it.
Yeah, I think also probably when I think of successful, and I kind of don't want to say it because it is such a kind of gay, cheesy answer, which I can say because I'm gay and cheesy, is Nigel Barker, because I absolutely love America's Next Top Model, and I always used to watch that thinking if I was ever a photographer, like I would want to be a judge on something. Like I love being in the, not judging people, but I like kind of
critiquing
and being maybe some sort of like mentor type of thing. So anything that's on kind of like, I have this small fame whore part of me that like would love to be famous, not for fame's sake, but so that people knew I was good at what I did.
Yes, and that's like a good end game to work towards as well, because you're at that point where you know that people will come to you for advice, and they'll take your advice and they'll get better and they'll be good at what they do because of they were like, oh yeah, that was really good advice I got, and they go and do that. When you think of the word punchable, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh God, punchable.
Yeah,
that's probably Terry Richardson, because he's in such a great position and pay grade. Yeah. But he's like really, really abused that. And it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Why did you do that?
Especially having that sort of platform to do that type of work, and then to get caught up in all these controversies. I'm just like, oh, you idiot. Yeah. I would kill for your career.
Yeah, it's such a big thing now, though. Like look at I mean, Bill Cosby and all the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the models for kind of stepping up. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with these type of things, I also think you end up with a lot of people who,
just
it
jump
isn't
on the
true.
bandwagon.
Yeah, but fair play to the ones that have kind of stood up and said no. Like Coco Rocha was one of the big models that spoke up against Terry Richardson, and that was brilliant because she's someone that girls really, really respect. And it very much is that type of industry. Like when we think of the entertainment industry, especially in America, you think of the casting couch. Mm-hmm. That's how a lot of, who did you sleep with to get that job? Yeah. And it's like, unfortunately, that's not always a consensual thing. So I'm just like, oh, what an absolute idiot. Like,
yeah, he went there.
Yeah, and he had all of that stuff because he was talented, not because he had to make people do stuff.
Yeah, he could have done it without.
Yeah.
Not much of a looker, but...
I know. So it's definitely all talent based, I would say.
Yeah. And money based.
Yeah, definitely.
Any particular books, documentaries, inspiration you always recommend to people?
There's a book that I love. It's a Kevin Aquan book. He's a makeup artist, and I just love all the kind of the portraits and stuff that are in there. Documentaries. Paris is Burning is always like a great one because I do so much work kind of with the LGBTQ community, and I shoot a lot of drag queens, and that's kind of where my love for that came from. other documentaries in general. There's just stuff that I like, but don't necessarily like inspire any of my work. But documentaries in general inspire me because a lot of my filthy Bad Llama work is voyeuristic. So it's all about kind of, I like being in the position of watching someone, and I really like non-engaging. When I do fashion photography too, I always tell people I don't want you to really look at the camera.
Yes.
So I like that kind of documentary setting in general.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, Netflix is so good right now for
Yeah,
documentaries.
so much good documentaries.
You can just go flick through anything. I like all the stuff that's kind of based around like models, or the September issue is brilliant if you're into fashion. It's about putting the September issue together for Vogue and how they do all that, and you see. One of my biggest realizations, sorry, this is one of my favourite things that happened to me, when I was on an airplane going to New York to do Fashion Week, and I watched it, and you see these world-renowned photographers shooting for the September issue of Vogue, and then Anna Wintour comes in and she's like, oh, I don't really like it. Like, oh, she can do that with their work, and that makes me feel a wee bit better.
Yeah, that even like, the best of the best get that.
Yeah, sometimes there's just not room for your work, you know, you can't, it
happens to everybody.
And that just like, I felt all of a sudden this like pressure was off me, and I was like,
yeah,
it's good. In the same documentary, Grace, who's her assistant, says like, oh, like all these images now that are so crystal clean, and these models whipping their hair and all that. She was like, I used to love like in the olden days, just these kind of, you know, blurry motion. And that also made me think like, oh, you don't have to really worry too much about things being super crisp if you really capture like what you're trying to do. I felt watching that like took so much pressure off me in general.
Yeah, seeing the behind the scenes of these iconic megastar photographers that are just the same as everybody else. They just happen to be at a higher pay grade.
Yeah.
So what's the next step for
the next step?
Tony Webster.
Immediately, the next step is that tomorrow I've got the premiere of this documentary I've been working on called Sassy, which is about Belfast drag queen Sassy Longshaft, and it's quite a funny name.
Is it an open premiere? Or is it?
It is. It's in Maverick Bar, and then it's going to be going online shortly after that as well. Yeah. And it basically follows Sassy and me as we go to Los Angeles for a music video premiere of a video she starred in that I shot and directed.
Nice.
And just kind of talks about drag and drag queens in Northern Ireland, and it's a wee 20-minute long kind of thing. And then after that, I've got to finish filming my Channel 4 shorts. And then I'm moving back to Glasgow at the end of the year. I get married in less than a year. I'm just trying to...
It's all happening?
Yeah, that's it.
Are you moving back to Glasgow indefinitely, or is it...
Well, that's the plan. I mean, it's not legal here to be married, so we're going to go there. Obviously, Martin is from Glasgow, and then obviously our love will be legal and recognised. But yeah, Glasgow's a great place in terms of like art and media and stuff, so I want to be back there for a wee while. And then the plan after that is potentially over to LA for a few years. So
very nice.
Yeah, it's good. Like I've got great opportunities coming up, and it's like you have to take them when you've got them because they're not always going to be there. So
yeah, nothing against Belfast.
No, not at all. Like because I've really enjoyed like my time in Belfast, and it's not even that I think I've got to the peak of it, but it's just like you go where the opportunities are, and I made so many opportunities for myself in Belfast, and I followed a lot of them out of Belfast, and Belfast will always be my home for sure. And I'm not one of these people to totally badmouth Belfast, because when I go somewhere else, like when I go to America or when I'm in Glasgow, I want people to be like, that's that photographer from Belfast, you know. And that's why I'm really quite active in doing stuff in the fashion community here, or promoting my work as being from here, because I want to be one of those people that's successful from Northern Ireland, not because they left it, but because they chose to stay and build their career inside it.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony
You're
Webster.
welcome. Thank you.
And we'll keep you posted online about...
You put your shirt back on now?
Yeah. We'll get the links up for all the good stuff, and we'll probably... I don't think this will be online. How long do you think before the Sassy documentary is?
Sassy will be online on the 1st of August.
1st of August. What's this? Well, this could be up around then, so we'll maybe put it up before the link being live, so you guys can check it out later on.
Guys.